Generations Bank has been serving the financial needs of the Finger Lakes region since 1870. Generations combines the best of modern banking with dedication to the local community. Visit them at mygenbank.com. Generations Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Studios in Seneca Falls, New York, and today I'll be joined by Janelle Bradshaw. She's one of the founders of the Rocco Lafaro Geneva Jazz Fest coming up on April 4th through the 7th. Some of the best regional, national, and international artists will be performing live at locations across Geneva, and we'll get to all the details in just a moment. But first, this episode of FLX Weekly is brought to you by Seneca Falls Acupuncture. Springtime allergies got you down? Research shows acupuncture can help relieve seasonal allergy symptoms, including itchy, watery eyes, sneezing, congestion, sinus headache, and more. If you're struggling to enjoy the warmer weather because your allergy symptoms kick up as soon as you're outside, give acupuncture a try. You can also book online at SenecaFallsAcupuncture.com. And Finger Lakes Partners. Get the insurance you need from the people you know at Finger Lakes Partners Insurance, the Finger Lakes Insurance Agency for your home, auto, or business. Get a no-obligation quote today at fingerlakesinsurance.com. So before we bring Janelle in to talk all about it, we have a short video that shows a lot of the performers coming to Geneva and even some local and regional artists who will be in Geneva for the Geneva Jazz Fest on April 4th through 7th. It really is a spectacular event and an unbelievable assembly of musicians and an opportunity to go out and see these great live music in various venues across the city. So let's show the video first and then we'll talk to Janelle.
More platform shoes, made all the scenes in my Vanderbilt jeans, danced on a stage in a furious rage, screamed rock and roll and R&B soul, one little fling with a glorious swing, such a jazz woman. All through the winter I sang down the summer, wore glitter clothes and put stuff up my nose. I played my guitar and folk in a bar. I had my fill in of Bias and Dylan. I hit the top.
So as you can see, this is a big event. It should be electric across the entire city for the full Thursday through Sunday extended weekend. And that's one of the things that I noticed when kind of looking at the lineup is this is really something that's happening throughout the city of Geneva and some great venues. So Janelle, welcome back to the show.
Hi Jim, thanks for having me here. It's nice to be back in the studio with you.
Looks like it's going to be a fantastic event. I mean, and like I say, it's citywide. It's not like one place. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's really great. This year we're presenting 20 concerts, 9 venues, and the collaboration between the venues around Geneva has been fantastic. As many people might know, we have a very vibrant music scene around Geneva, and almost every venue that offers music in the regular season is offering a special concert for the Geneva Jazz Festival on April 4th through the 7th. So it's really nice to have that partnership, and then we'll be heading to Historic Club 86 for our headlining events. It's really stacking up to be an incredible weekend. You can use the schedule and plan a day and probably catch about 4 to 5 groups in one day on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, GenevaJazzFestival.com has information on tickets and the schedule. But Club 86 being kind of like the anchor site is pretty cool. That's a really historic venue that's hosted great music over the past what, how many years? 60,
well,
70, 80
yeah.
years?
It was quite a music hotspot in the 50s.
Yeah.
The Legat family runs that now. If you grew up in the regional area, it's famous for its delicious food. But yeah, Ella Fitzgerald, Nat King Cole, a lot of famous jazz artists pass through, and they would stop and perform in Club 86. It was really quite a hotspot then, and we're going to turn it into a hotspot for this weekend event as well.
And it's Rocco Scott Lafaro.
It's
Lafaro, sorry, yeah.
yeah.
Geneva Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting, as regular people in the world, you don't really recognize your influence. I mean, most people don't. Sure, in your line of business, your influence is widespread. Well, this young man, Scott Lafaro, he went by Scott, his real name was Rocco, was just a young musician from the Geneva area, and he picked up the upright bass as a late teen. Not very old. I mean, he played other instruments, but didn't start playing the bass until he's like 15 or 16 years old, which is pretty late for musicians, just like
Sure.
with sports or whatever. If you start as a young kid, you grow into your sport. But this kid went down to New York City as a 19-year-old just a few years later, and his style of bass playing actually influenced jazz immediately and continues to influence jazz musicians today. He's one of the most studied bassists. His style was remarkably different than the style that was being used up until then. And he collaborated with the famous Bill Evans, who for a time was Miles Davis's pianist, and was part of the trio. And unfortunately, at the tender age of 25, so he's just on the professional scene for 5 or 6 years. Yeah. His influence lives. He was killed in an accident nearby, and his bass was recovered from the accident and refurbished, and it still is used in some concerts. And Geneva recently named one of their streets Scott Lafaro Way, which is right near the Smith Opera House, and the Smith Opera House also offers a concert in celebration of his music each year. And that
Coming up shortly after the
Yeah,
Jazz
it'll
Fest.
come up on April 12th, yeah. Okay. So it's just, the legacy. We started the Jazz Festival last year when Geneva welcomed one of the most famous bass players currently, contemporary bass players, Christian McBride. And we were just so excited about the fact that the Scott Lafaro legacy is bringing world-class jazz to our city, and we decided to highlight that and start the Geneva Jazz Festival. So this is our second annual festival.
Yeah, it's amazing. Quite a treat for residents too of the area to have access to these types of musicians and to see these performances in different intimate settings, that they're familiar with across Geneva. Talk about some of the venues. We saw some of them in the video, but just give a little overview of where people will be and when without, it might take a while to go through the whole schedule.
Don't worry, I have the schedule memorized, Jim, I really do. So we're going to kick off on Thursday, and our very first concert series will be Women Center Stage. As a lot of people know, and it's Women's History Month, in jazz, women have been underrepresented over the years and still currently are. And so we decided to put women center stage for our opening night. We're presenting 4 female-fronted bands that evening. Annie Wells Trio is going to play at our partner Ventosa for happy hour 5 to 8. And then at Club 86, we have them stacked up. We have performances at 4, 6, and 8. And we have Ellen Peroni in the Encyclopedia of Jazz. She's a female saxophone player. Then we're presenting Vanessa Vacanti, an up-and-coming singer with the famous Jazz Mafia out of the Syracuse area. And then Melissa Gardner is a trombone professor at SU, and she plays in a group called M3, which is Melissa Gardner on trombone and B3 organ and percussion. So that's going to be a fantastic night, and I really encourage everyone to get out for that night and support women in the arts.
Yeah, that's an interesting angle. When I think of classic jazz, most female artists were singers. You didn't see them playing instruments. So there's going to be a lot of females playing instruments during the Jazz Festival, especially on opening night.
Yeah, mostly on opening night. As you mentioned, most people, when they think about jazz, you'd be hard-pressed to be able to name any female artists, either through history or even currently. Although there are a lot now, it's just the notoriety is not always as great as a lot of their male counterparts. And after Thursday Center Stage, actually, there's not very many other women involved in the festival because of the availability of musicians in the area. Truth be told.
So then it continues Friday night?
Yeah, well, Friday we kick off early in the afternoon at 2 o'clock. You can see a super awesome Ryan Johnson duo playing over at White Springs Winery. They're opening their doors for a special presentation on Friday at 2 o'clock. And then we'll keep going. We have Craig Snyder, who is a guitar player. You might have met Craig somewhere. He's this phenomenal player, also an educator at Finger Lakes Community College. He'll be playing at Watershed Brewery. And then Brewery Ardennes is sponsoring 3 events over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They have some great artists
It's a
over
great
there.
venue.
Yeah, it is.
A
Yeah.
lot of people don't know about that place, but I'd recommend checking it out if you get a chance.
And I believe they've lined up their one of their dinner pairings for an evening to coincide with the jazz music. They hosted a jazz series last summer with help from FLX Music 247 and offered happy hour jazz on Thursday afternoons. It was a great series for them and a really enjoyable experience for their guests and the musicians. And then Friday night we'll be at Club 86 with a really special concert. Many people from the Geneva area have heard about the Venuti family. Well, Sam Venuti, their dad was a serious musician, and we're offering a tribute concert performed by his son, Steve Venuti. That'll be a great to kick us off at about 6 o'clock. And 8 o'clock we'll offer another widely known drummer as our band leader, but he brought in, his name is Mike Melito, and he brought in John and David Snyder, who's a father-son duo on trumpet. It's going to be a really beautiful, beautiful evening of music. A lot of people, when they think of jazz, sometimes they're like, well, I don't really like jazz. But jazz is such a
There's lots of
wide and
different kinds of
varied
jazz. Yeah, I mean,
genre that some straight ahead jazz is perhaps a little bit I don't know.
well, you can't. I mean, I enjoy all different types of jazz. I mean, I think my first, as a youngster, exposure to something that would be, I think traditional jazz is something that you could sit back and listen to with maybe like New Orleans jazz, or where they have the chord changes in the bridge and the solos, and it seems like something that would resemble maybe rock and roll. But then there's jazz that pushes a little further. So Chick Corea was the first thing that I would listen to that was like different.
Yeah.
And that really opened my eyes to a lot of different other artists who, it's kind of like pushing the envelope. Herbie Hancock was another one that kind of was a little more palatable, I guess, for a young ear to get into, but then he would also, push the envelope. And they were both keyboard players, which I was a keyboard player. So, yeah, I mean, look, some of the more complex or
Let's call it sophisticated.
right is something that you can really appreciate, even if it's not something you would pop into the up on Spotify and listen to in the car, especially seeing it live. So this is an opportunity too to see things that you haven't seen before, and that's one of the great thing about jazz to me is, I mean, when you live as long as we have, you've listened to lots of music, and a lot of the popular music becomes so repetitive. Even newer music today that could be considered popular is just a rehash of something that's been done a million times before. So when you can see jazz, or you see individual artists improvising, on the spot, I think it's great.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, and I think in our programming for the Jazz Festival that we keep that in mind. I mean, our program is designed to appeal to both the jazz enthusiasts and those new to jazz. So if the only thing you know about jazz is that, it's swing music from New Orleans or something like that, you'll find that that kind of music. One of our bands, the Banjo Juice band that's going to be playing at Club 86 on Saturday, is that type of band. So you can be in there and stomping your foot and swinging around. But when you then move to Bill Tiberio on Saturday night, he's a jazz educator from Rochester, very well known. He's put together a group of, I believe, 7 now, fantastic musicians that are actually going to create that kind of music that you talk about. I like to compare contemporary jazz to abstract art. You know, when you listen to it today, it's going to sound like this, on a different day, with your different mood or a different location, a different sound system, the new solos that people create. It looks a little different today, and yet tomorrow you can watch it again, and it'll be completely different and reach you in different ways. So it's
it's also some almost like a puzzle where, you know, by the end of the song, you're like, how did they do that? How do they all get from here to there, you know, on the same page? And yeah, it's impressive. It's mathematical. It's artistic. It really combines a lot of disciplines.
Yeah, that's what appeals to me most about jazz is the level of simplicity and complexity at the same time. And just, you know, it's funny when you meet jazz musicians, or anyone really, this would be true of anyone. You meet someone, you look at them, you're like, oh, okay, hi, how you doing? Then you see them on stage and your eyes just bug out like, when I talked to you, I wasn't sure you had that in you, but that's in you? That is so cool. And the skill is amazing. I'd just also like to mention that this year we're drawing our main artists from our institutional hubs around the area. Again, our area is so incredibly beautiful in so many ways. We have the Eastman School of Music community in Rochester, and also University of Rochester Music Program. We have the Jazz Studies program at Syracuse University, represented by Melissa Gardner. We have the Ithaca College Music Program, represented by the Director of Jazz Studies, Mike Teitelbaum, and his wife, Catherine Gale, a female vocalist who will be joining him at Ravines. And members of these groups also include other educators. So from the standpoint of celebrating music and artistry and the contribution of not just the person as an artist, but the person as a teacher, as a developer of young people, and as a just like a vehicle of moving culture forward in our world. It's quite admirable, the dedication to the genre that our performers will be presenting to the Geneva area.
It's also a great example, like you mentioned, all these schools and institutions. That's one of the things, the strengths of, I think, our region is we do have these great educational institutions between Syracuse and Rochester and Ithaca, and they do offer so much to our community, and the music is just another thing. So it is interesting that for this event, so many of these individuals are being pulled from these different places.
I'd like to also highlight a couple more artists that are coming, regionally known, and Nancy Kelly, who is a vocalist from the Syracuse area. She'll be performing Sunday afternoon. She was here last year as part of our first jazz festival, and she received such a positive response that we're hosting her again this year. And another group, the Pickle Mafia, which is a super incredible contemporary jazz trio of keyboards, percussion, and bass. This group perhaps is the one that blew my mind the most last year, and I'm super excited to welcome them back for another try in Geneva. We're hoping for a super great turnout for that concert as well.
And that one will be on Sunday?
Sunday evening at 6 o'clock at Club 86. We're hoping that any people that see this broadcast that are heading to the Finger Lakes for the Eclipse weekend, this is the perfect festival for you. With the purchase of a club pass, you can go in and out as much as you'd like. So if you'd like to stop in for the early concert, head out for dinner, come back to catch the end of the second concert, that's all included with our club pass.
Yeah, talk about that. So if someone wants to come, you can get the ticket online at the website, GenevaJazzFestival.com. And then I think there's different options, right?
Yep, there's lots of different options, but I'd like to let you know that all of the concerts that are hosted by other venues other than Club 86 are all free.
So you just show up if you
just
want to go
show
to
up.
Ravines for a wine tasting, and there'll be live music.
Absolutely. And those concerts are typically 2 and 3 hours long. So again, you can stop in for an hour, head to another site, and do the same. So that's really great, and I want to thank all of our venues for their support with that. They are supporting the bands through their hosting and contribution. Then for the ticketed events at Club 86, we have a club pass where you can pay one price to see all 8 concerts, very reasonable price there. You can get those through our site. You can find it on Eventbrite as well. You can also find ticket links on FLXmusic247.com. And you can buy individual tickets as well. Thursday nights, women opening center stage. That ticket is 3 concerts for one price. A couple of our other shows are 2 tickets for the same evening. But I just encourage you to get that club pass. Support the festival, number one, and just give yourself the flexibility to stop in and see whatever you'd like and taste all the types of jazz that are available to you at Club 86.
Yeah, the city will be alive
Yeah.
those 4 days, without a doubt. So, second annual festival, in yourself and Michael George Gonzalez were the co-founders. Going back to prior to last year, how did this come about first, and then I'll ask you how it's become what it's become.
Well, Michael George Gonzalez is a fantastic musician. He's been part of the Geneva music community for quite some time. As you might know, I came on the scene just a few years ago. I'm also a musician, and I love jazz. So we just teamed together. We want to continue to increase the visibility of jazz as a genre in this area. If you think about it, can you name any place where you can go see jazz in the Finger Lakes on a regular basis?
No.
Well, this year you'll be able to see jazz at 3 locations this coming season. So through our work with the Jazz Festival, we're now going to have regular offerings of jazz at Brewery Ardennes, happy hours on Thursdays. We're going to have regular jazz at Geneva on the Lake, Sunday brunches, which will be really great, and Tuesday on the Terrace at Geneva on the Lake as well. And another venue just down the lake, Once Finger Lakes, which is the tasting room. They're going to offer jazz happy hours on Friday afternoon. So we went from having no jazz in Geneva to now you can see jazz 4 days a week if you'd like.
The festival itself is impressive to pull together. Like in just its second year now, that is a star-studded wall-to-wall lineup. You know, like I said, across so many venues, a lot of work had to go into obviously, putting this together.
Well, interestingly enough, I can call most of the people in the festival, friends. And that's the great part. Between Michael George Gonzalez and myself, we know all of these artists personally.
Pick up the phone and say, hey, we want to do a jazz festival. And they're like, we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nice too because the venues are also in that kind of a collaborative vein as well. We're friends with the owners and the music personnel at all those venues, and so it's putting it together has been the easy part. Now we just need the people to come and embrace the event and attend our events.
It's got to be pretty cool too, to have all these people come together in Geneva, so they might play and then go and watch someone else play and then go to dinner with this collaboration of all these talented artists, being in Geneva at the same time.
Yeah, it is great. I recently attended a conference up at a concert at Love and Cup in Rochester, which you've probably heard about. It's near the RIT campus. And it was a collaboration between many of the people that we'll see here in Geneva. And it was just so nice to have so many people in the room that I've worked with before, that I knew. And, it's great when you can celebrate the successes of your friends even more than, not any more than strangers, but when they're your friends, you root for them even harder, So it'll be nice to see people that I see once or twice a year all in the same place, and very excited about hearing their friends perform as well, which they probably don't get a chance to do very often.
It opens 8 days from now. Hope for good weather, although the venues are indoors, but still.
It's got to be more than 8 days, Jim. Please tell me.
No, it is. It was 8 days, right?
I think we start on the 4th of April. Please tell me there's a few more days.
Tomorrow. Oh, no, no, no. You're right. It's another week. 15 days.
Yeah, thank
there you
you.
go. Sorry to scare you. 15 days.
15 days, yeah. Yeah, we'd love to see advance sale purchases of tickets as well. If you're thinking about coming, yeah, just make the commitment and show up. I'm going to try to make as many concerts as I can, so I'll be out and about, and I'll definitely be at every concert at Club 86. So I hope to see you. I know a lot of people out in the Seneca Falls community, and I've met a lot of great people through my FLX Music 247 work over the last couple of years. I'd love to invite you to come and join me and have an enjoyable evening.
I mean, you can make a day out of it, or a weekend out of it. I could go to dinner at Torrey Park, pop next door, and
Absolutely.
check out some music. You can go, like I say, feel like going to Ravines or Ardennes, for some tasting or for a bite to eat at Ardennes, and enjoy the music there. But GenevaJazzFestival.com has all the information and tickets available. FLXmusic247.com also. 20 concerts, 9 venues, 4 days, 1 city. Congratulations on putting this together. It really is a nice treat for residents to have this as an option available to them. So on behalf of every music lovers in the area, thank you for pulling this together, and hopefully it's a great event.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it's going to be great. Hope to see you there. Thanks, Jim.
So again, that's April 4th through 7th, 15 days from the taping of the show. GenevaJazzFestival.com for more information and tickets. And thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show, click like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back next Wednesday. It'll be Wine Wednesday with Catherine Chase from the Cuga Lake Wine Trail. Until then, have a great first weekend of spring here in the Finger Lakes.